The Atari Jaguar, a very misunderstood console that came out in the early 90s. It claimed to be a 64-bit console, and 30 years later, it's still kicking it. However, with modern displays and with these older consoles, it's becoming more and more difficult to get these consoles looking great on modern displays, and with the game skyrocketing in prices, it's starting to become more expensive. However, in 2023, there are some really great options for this 64-bit console. The first one, the Jag to HD adapter. And the best one for your Jaguar is the Jaguar Game Drive. Let's check them out. So what is the Jag to HD? It's an adapter that takes the RGB signal from the back of the console and converts it to HDMI. Let's demonstrate.
Primary target destroyed. Primary target destroyed. Primary target destroyed. Primary target destroyed. Armor repaired. Target destroyed. Primary 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 target destroyed.
The game drive for the Jaguar is basically the EverDrive for the Atari Jaguar. You can load up all of the games for the Jaguar and play it on your console. Pretty sweet, if you ask me. Alright, so I got the updated firmware onto this micro SD card that it's in here. I'm going to put the cartridge back in, and we're going to change inputs again. And we're going to go ahead and turn on the system. And the light comes on. And now it's updating. Alright, so if I go to 0, yep, it's on the latest firmware version, so it's all fully up to date. So now I'm going to turn off the system again, take the cartridge out, take this micro SD card out, and put the one with the ROMs back in. Pop it back in, turn it back on. And there we have it. So one of the things the latest version of this firmware does now is it allows for more support, including Jaguar CD games now. So one of the things to keep in mind with the game drive is you don't want the Jaguar CD plugged in here. You just want this by itself, which in some ways is actually not a bad thing given the price of Jaguar CDs in general being ridiculously expensive. So the fact that you can use this to play all the cartridge base games, including Jaguar CDs, including homebrews and all that stuff too. This is actually a really cool way to play Jaguar games. So I'm going to just pick something. So let's do Rayman. It's loading the ROM now. Now there are things I can do to add like box art, screenshots, and stuff like that. But I didn't do that. I was just lazy about it. But yeah, there it is. And man, look how clean. Look how clean this image looks. Holy hell. That is very, very clean. And it does the Jag to HD upscales it to 720p. It plays nicely with capture cards, and obviously I have it being played on my computer monitor. But yeah, look at that. That's pretty sweet. Now, of course, you have to power it off, power it back on to get back to the menu. But as I add more things to this, I'm probably going to section it off with cartridge-based retail games, Jaguar CD retail games, and like homebrews. But yeah, I can load up Doom for the Jaguar. Another really, really good version of Doom. Fun fact about Doom on the Jaguar. All the other versions, like on the Super Nintendo, PlayStation, Saturn, 3DO, stuff like that, they were all based from the Jaguar version, if you didn't know that. But yeah, it's loading up. Now, of course, the Jaguar version of Doom doesn't have in-game music when you're playing the game. But, I mean, obviously there is sound. But, another cool thing about this, too, is by using this kind of setup, so you can basically pay whatever you can for a Jaguar console. The game drive is what was it now? So as you can see, it's working fine. Nothing wrong here. And in terms of latency, I don't really notice any. So I can like press forward and Doom Guy just moves right away. So I don't think there's any noticeable input lag by going through the Jag to HD, which is really, really good. Another thing is that because the game drive now supports basically everything that can play on the Jaguar, it's actually a really cost-effective way to play Jaguar games if you want to play on real hardware. Now, there are emulation options, but if you do want to play on real hardware, basically what you have to pay for at this point is the price of the Jaguar console itself, which admittedly, if you want one in good condition, they're not super cheap now. But let's just say on average about $300-400 for a Jaguar, assuming it comes with all the necessary cables and stuff like that. On a side note, speak of cables, either use a power supply that was specifically designed and tested to work properly on the Jaguar, or use the OEM version from Atari that came with the system. Do not use cheap power supplies for it, because the Jaguar hardware is very, very picky when it comes to the power that goes in. So keep that in mind. It's very finicky when it comes to the power supply. Luckily for me, I have a custom-made power supply that's able to power up the Jaguar in the Jaguar CD at once using one plug. But that's a rare exception. Most of the time, you just want to stick to the original power supply that came with the console. So let's just say around $300 for the Jaguar. And let's just say it came with a controller and all the necessary cables. And factor in with shipping about $100 for the Jag to HD. And then another $220, $230 for the game drive. So 3, 4, 5, 6. So around $650 to $700. You're all in. But even though it sounds a lot, when you factor in the prices of the games, you start to understand it's like, okay, you know what? This is actually a pretty good deal, because you don't have to worry about getting a Jaguar CD. You don't have to worry about buying games for the Jaguar CD. You don't have to worry about buying the cartridges for the Jaguar. You can basically just find sources to get the games, put it on the game drive, and you're good to go. So in that way, that's actually really, really cool. But yeah, this is Doom running on the Jaguar. Even though there's no sound, but the game plays really, really well. I'm just going to rush through this. So yeah. But yeah, that's how I was like playing an Atari Jaguar in 2023. So all in all, really, really cool setup here with the game drive and the Jag to HD. And in terms of the controller, here's the thing though. The OEM versions, the one that actually says Atari on here, these are actually really expensive now. Around $200-300 for these. You can actually get aftermarket versions of these, and from what I've read, they're actually really good, and those are about $70-80. So if you don't care about having the original version of these controllers, save yourself some money and get the aftermarket version. There's nothing wrong with them, from what I've read. But I got these before the aftermarkets came out, so no real reason for me to get those. But hey, if say like Stone Age Gamer wants to send me one of those controllers, or is it through Songbird Productions, you can get them on there too. And I think Atari Age also. But yeah, if any of those places wants to send me an aftermarket Jaguar Pro controller for me to review, I can actually compare them, since I have these. So all in all, really cool here. And for anyone interested in getting into the Jaguar, I would say this is probably the absolute best way to do it now. And the really cool thing about this, there's no hardware modifications you have to do with the system itself. It's literally just plug and play, and you're ready to go. So yeah, that's pretty much it. Like always, have a good one. Leave those comments down below. Like this video, share this video, subscribe if you're not subscribing. Like always, Have a good one.